Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new video, and this time I want to talk about Games Workshop and the speed of releases of Games Workshop. I have seen, especially on some Spanish channels, that some people will like to have releases at lower rhythm, but then at the same time, I have seen complaints that there is not the Games Workshop is not going so deep on this on the some of the specialist games, and if it's diverging too much or what is going on. Okay, so first of all, we have to say that Games Workshop is really releasing a lot of different games, right? We have there from now recently Aeronautic Imperialis. On the universe of Warhammer 40,000, we have Aeronautic Imperialis, Adeptus Titanicus, Kill Team, Warhammer 40,000, Blackstone Fortress. Yeah, I will not put into this list Shadow War Armageddon, but was part of the game's launch. And then in the Age of Sigmar wall, we have Warhammer Underworld, we have Age of Sigmar, we have Warcry. So we're talking 7 games in total now. Then we need to add Necromunda, that I forgot to mention this on the Warhammer 40,000 wall. And we also have how to call the game, Blood Bowl, right? So we have about 10 games against Workshop is supporting, and Aeronautic Imperial is the more recent one, and is doing releases from time to time, okay? And I understand for people that want to collect everything and they are in more than one game, this is going to be a challenge, right? Because we see a lot of stuff from each game. And it's been a challenge for me. So you have to be, I think we have to, we went from a period where Games Workshop had just 2 core games, and they were releasing a codex or book, if you were lucky, every 2 months, right? So they really changed the speed of the game, the speed of the releases, and on Age of Sigmar we see releases every month. On 40,000 we see releases almost every month. Maybe I'm mistaken, sometimes they need 1.5. But on top of that, there is an overlay of Warhammer Underworlds, where we have a release every 3 months. Necromunda, there is more or less a release every 3 months, more or less, right? On the Adeptus Titanicus, I'm not following that closely, but I think there is also releases quite often. Okay, and I think if you are only in one of these games, the speed is not that bad. Okay, maybe the ones that are very difficult to follow up is Warhammer 40,000 on Age of Sigmar, but I truly believe that the Games Workshop is not expecting from anybody to collect all Age of Sigmar or all Warhammer 40,000. So nobody will be able to collect, or at least normally people will not collect all the armies from Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So we used to be choiceful, but now we want to collect almost all the games. I have seen Necromunda, people collecting almost all the warbands. On Warcry, we also most of the people also want to collect all the warbands. Okay, this makes the business very expensive, but I don't think Games Workshop is releasing this with intention that you buy everything from all the games, right? I think what the Games Workshop try to do is to create or to put options for different types of players. And the problem is for the collectors that they want to have almost everything, or like me that they like to have all the books. This creates a challenge, right? Because there is a moment that you have to give up in some games. This is why I have not collecting Adeptus Titanicus, and I will not collect most likely Aeronautic Imperialis, although I would love it. Because there is a moment that you can say, okay, you want, or you just buy the starter set and then you don't do any other thing, or you prefer to follow up a little bit more and to invest a little bit more on some of the new games, right? For me, the 3 games that I'm enjoying the most, the ones I play the most, is Warhammer Underworlds, where I will go for the Beastgrave, and I think I will keep collecting them because I'm really enjoying the game. It's a game that I'm really playing. I have all the warbands. Nobody have time to play all the at least in my case, I don't have time to play all the warbands. Because on top, I'm also I want to collect also Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar. And here I will not collect all the armies, of course, but I like to have the books at least, right? On Blood Bowl, I just have yeah, the global investment you have to do if you don't want the miniatures is a very small one because you only need to buy the issue, what's called this, the Spike issue, Spike magazine. Necromunda as well. I will just have some stuff, but I don't collect all the miniatures neither, right? So and the point here is, yeah, I think for me it's one of the golden moments if you collect these games, right? You can go as deep as you want. Even on Necromunda, all depends. Necromunda for me is not a competitive game, right? So all depends how deep you want to go in the narrative. You want everything, all the warbands, yeah, then you have to invest quite some money. But you don't need them forces warband to play Necromunda, right? You can enjoy Necromunda just with the starter kit and a couple more of warbands. So what I mean is, you don't really need all the stuff to play these games, and all that is up to everybody to understand how deep they want to go into these games. It's like to enjoy Warhammer Underworlds. To play, you don't need all the warbands and all the cars. Of course, if you go to the competitive scene and you want really to go very in depth and very competitive, but maybe you need to invest a little bit more. But to be fair, the investment is about, if I'm not wrong, maybe I will, but it's about 60 euros. Let's put 50 to 60 euros every 3 months. So compared to other games where I was thinking, if you think about Magic the Gathering, to have all the cars, you will need to invest much more money, right? Than just 50 or 60 euros every 3 months. That is more or less if you want to have all the cars for the Warhammer Underworlds. You don't need all the other stuff. You don't need all the sleeves. You don't need all the dices. All the other stuff is for people that really want to go in depth on this, maybe on this Warband. On Warcry, to play Warcry, barely you need the starter kit, right? With the starter kit, you really, is enough for you to start playing campaigns and really enjoying the game. You want to play Stormcast Eternals, you only need to buy these cards that are not that expensive. And if you're collecting Stormcast Eternals, it's going to be a good choice. And here is one thing, and for me it's important. On Warcry, I think the warbands that are not chaos, the ones that are go with the cards, these are designed in case you have the army in Age of Sigmar, right? These cards are designed in case you have the army in Age of Sigmar and you want to play with them. But I don't think it's designed that you buy boxes, different boxes to do the warbands, because it's going to be much more expensive than buying a warband from the Chaos faction, right? And to be fair, to play with one box is enough. And I don't know how the competitive scene will go on Warcry, but for me, I think Warcry really is a game where you want to play in a league, enjoy, and with with low investment, you can really have a good time, right? Now we have the new expansion for mercenaries and monsters. As I said, I think it's up to everybody how in depth they want to go in each game. So of course, but this have an impact, right, on the market. I will say Games Workshop is trying to diverse so they can attract different players. And of course, it will have an impact on the competition because some people, I don't know, were playing more skirmish games. They were not interested in Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar in the past, right? Because if you are more in the skirmish gaming, you don't care about these big games. But now, if you are in the skirmish gaming, oh, there is Warcry and there is Kill Team, right? So maybe people, instead of going to, I don't know, Infinity or to go to other type of gaming, when you go to smaller miniature cons, say, okay, Kill Team looks interesting, and then they go. And I think is what Games Workshop try to do with all these games, is trying to first open the market to low entry. Kill Team, Warcry have a low entry investment. Okay, of course, everybody can say that, but you can. But to be fair, if between two friends you buy the game, it's enough, right, to play. You have everything on Warhammer 40,000 with even with the starter kit. You will not have enough. You know that you will need more meters than what is in the starter kit. It's not designed to play with the meters in the starter kit most of the time. You will need bigger armies. But Warcry is designed for this size. Kill Team, it's a little bit more difficult because you will need other units to create more diversity in your kill teams. So Kill Team is not as optimized as Warcry from my point of view. But Necromunda, I play Necromunda with my wife, and we only have 10 the warbands from the starter kit, right? And if you want to play at home with your family, you don't need more. If you want to play with the friends, it's up to the friend group to the friends group to limit how far you want to go, right? How competitive you want to go. And normally you can say, okay, let's play just with one box each of us on our one. And this is normally enough to play a game of Necromunda. And I will say that then this targeting the low end, right? And then you have futuristic and middle age or fantasy. You have cyberpunk type of looking, that is the Necromunda. You also have Blood Bowl from that time with news. Blood Bowl have been alive without Games Workshop for a while, so I understand Games Workshop wants also to be part of the business. Uh, Although there is a lot of other companies doing that. And for me, another interesting one is Warcry, what tries to combine cars, deck building with miniatures. And the thing I like, the thing I stopped playing Magic and I stopped playing cards is because I don't want to invest in trying to find boosters and boosters and boosters to find a card and then go to the second market and deal and change and sell and buy. It's a thing that I don't have passion by. But on the other side, on Warhammer Underworlds, you buy the boxes. You know that if you buy the 6 warbands plus the starter kit, you have all the cards, and then there is a supplementary deck in each season, right? And with that, you can go very nicely. You can play, and you don't have problems to play these warbands, right? And this game. You have all the cards that you need. You don't need duplicates. You don't need 4 times the same card as in other games. So I think this is why I think Warhammer Underworlds hooked me so much, because the investment is not that high. As I said, we are talking about 60 euros every 2 months, maybe a little bit more when you need the extra deck or something like that, but it's not that much. Okay. And the other game I was playing recently, and this is also another game that is completely different from Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40,000. So we have the big battles, we talk about the skirmish games, and now we talk about the Blood Bowl, that is a very specific niche. We went to the miniature plus card, and then we have another one that is role style, right? It's a role style game, RPG style, but is a dungeon crawling game, right? And we had the beginning the time with Silver Tower. I think the rules were not good enough for the artificial intelligence, and they launched a second Warhammer Quest that have to be played with a master. And now we have the Blackstone Fortress that we played the other day, and it's a very interesting game. Okay, we really enjoyed the game for that night, and it's a game that finally Games Workshop is really adding, right? Because they had added 3 expansions to this game, and it's doing expansion more or less every 3 months, and with interesting miniatures, and miniatures that then you can even use later on Warhammer 40,000 if you want, right? Although they just create the rules, but to be fair, I don't think they are designed to go to Warhammer 40,000. They are really designed for the Blackstone Fortress. Okay, so yeah, I think I went a little bit around that. What I want to say here is Games Workshop is really trying to target different type of consumers, different type of customers, and they try to go out of what they used to be to catch from the competition. And I think competition have to watch out, because it's going to be more difficult. Also for they also want to they are making so many releases. They want to block a little bit the people that is doing miniatures to play in the Warhammer 40,000, right? They are trying to do variation. They try to do news. They try to modify. This is why they also went for their own IP to try to block other people to go into this game. So they want to have the exclusivity of miniatures, and on top, because they are streaming in some of the major or some of the biggest tournaments, if you want to be in the top tables, you need to play with Games Workshop miniatures, right? Because if not, you will not be able. They will not stream you, right? But it's fair. So if they are streaming and they are supporting the tournament, they want the people play with their miniatures. And as I said, in Age of Sigmar, they make so different aesthetics from the traditional ones that it's going to be difficult for other companies to catch up Games Workshop and be able to go there, because Games Workshop is making so many releases so often that it's going to be difficult for small companies to follow them, right? Uh, and I think, yeah, this is the way. So, how this affect to the customers, or how would this affect to the people, to us, to the collectors, right? So, I think we have to first, we need really to think twice when we buy something, and we need to understand that Games Workshop is not trying to sell you everything, right? This is not the intention of Games Workshop. I don't think the intention of Games Workshop is that you buy, of course, if you have all the money that you can do that, Games Workshop will be very happy, but I don't think this is the target, the strategy of the Games Workshop. Games Workshop is not expecting you to buy all 40k, all Age of Sigmar, all the releases from Warcry, all the releases from Aeronautic Imperials. No, this is not the objective of Games Workshop. The objective, as a customer, we need to understand which games we play and how depth we want to do in these games. Okay, Games Workshop objective is to target different options, to give different options to different players. So if a player wants to play everything, first you don't have time to play everything most of the time. Well, at least I'm talking with my experience, and you will not have time to paint everything, and you will not have the money most likely to buy everything. I talk for myself, of course, but most of the people will not have the time, the money, and the to paint, to play, and to buy, right? So yeah, so I think we are in a moment that we cannot buy everything that is released by Games Workshop. We have to be choiceful and understand what is our interest. And maybe develop things that they look very awesome, like in my case, Aeronautic Imperialis looks really interesting, but yeah, there's a moment that you have to choose. I also very limited. I'm not buying for a while, for a long, long time on Forge World, because there is so much stuff on Games Workshop that I don't see the need to buy at this moment in Forge World. Maybe because I'm collecting too many armies. Of course, if you are focusing on an army and you really focus on the Space Marines, then maybe you go more to Forge World because you are more specialized. So all depend also on each player and each hobbyist how they want to face the hobby. So you can be very specialized in one army, one game system, or you can be like me that we play different systems. We are not specialized in just one system, in just one army, but then of course normally we don't have all the elements from this army, right? So it's up to everybody how they want to face the hobby at the end, to be fair. But what I mean here is we have to be at this time. I think the point is we have so many options that is more difficult to have to choose which option you want to have at the end. And then as well, I think here there is another point that I wanted to talk is how this will impact the retailers. Because for the retailers, I guess it will start to be difficult, right? Because maybe also will depend a lot on the region. But the retailers, yeah, they will maybe to start being choiceful, because I don't know if the retailers will be able to follow all the rhythm. At least the small retailers, and that's the big ones, and Games Workshop will still have the online retailers. But I mean, big ones like Element Games or Wayland will be able to more or less follow what Games Workshop does. But small retailers, most likely, they will need to be more careful. They will not be able to to commercialize everything that is put there by Games Workshop. And I think this was my point of view. So yeah, there is a lot of releases, but put this into mind. So I don't think Games Workshop is thinking that you will buy everything, right? I think, and I think it's like, for me, I find it a very clever strategy, right? They put a lot of games and they need to support them. Sometimes they support it better than other times, but I think they are supporting all the games they have released up to now, right? And then there is a game that is just one-shot games. I was surprised. Yeah, Speed Freaks. From the moment I saw Speed Freaks, for me it was quite clear that it was one-shot game, right? Like in the past, what was Death Watch Overkill, or we have a Burning of Prospero, or Betrayal of Calth. So they, Games Workshop from time to time they release one go game. Space Hulk was one go game, right? Um, and when I saw Speed Freaks, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a one go game. Yeah, they create rules for other vehicles that are not in the starter set, to say it in a way. But I don't think Games Workshop had the intention in the game to really go in depth and do a Necromunda of boogies or do a Gorka Murka. I don't think the intention of Games Workshop was to do another Gorka Murka. I think the intention was just to put there some orc miniatures and put them together with the game to make them a little bit more attractive, but to be really a one go game. We had a lot in the past, like Lost Patrol, some better than others. But yeah, these are games, just side games, I would say it. And these are not even especially for me, it's just one go games. I think this type of games, Games Workshop are trying to push them more to out of the mainstream. And this is another thing that I was almost forgetting is Games Workshop on top is creating some board games, is releasing some board games in channels that are not the specialist. And another thing that I was also forgetting is that Games Workshop also went to this type of collectionist like Conquest, Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, and now the new one, I forgot now the name, the one for Age of Sigmar, that you just buy once a week. You don't need to make a big investment once, and then from time to at the end of all of this process, you will have a nice collection of miniatures for 40,000 Age of Sigmar. I think this is I think this is show how Games Workshop is trying to play on different scenarios, and I don't think is expecting anybody to follow all the different scenarios, right? If that one person is really focused on Warhammer Underworlds, you have all this merchandising stuff, right? All these nice things to put on the board, all other things that you can buy to complement the game. You also can look for Dread Fiend to see if you want also this sideway game of the Warhammer Underworlds, and yeah, and that's all. But if you just play Warhammer Underworlds and other games, maybe you are not interested. I will not be interested in all this small terrain that they do for the board, because this is not needed, right? So is what I mean. So you have to be choiceful, and I think Games Workshop is putting different options just for the people to choose and decide where they want to play and how depth they want to play. Okay, and that's all. That's all what I want to talk here. Don't get overwhelmed by the releases. Be choiceful, and don't expect that you and don't think that you will be able to buy everything. It's like if you think that you can buy almost all the launches that I don't know that Lego will do. Right? It's not. I don't think Lego is launching all these kits expecting that one person will buy. The people will buy all of them. So I think they are putting different options for different type of consumers. So Games Workshop is doing the same as as the toy market, for example. So they put different releases. So in the thing that you will play some of the releases, not all of them. The same for video gaming, right? I don't think a company of video games will expect that a consumer will buy. I don't think it's releasing all these games with the expectation that all the consumers will buy all the games. They release different type of games with different options, so they can attract different people into the video gaming. So Games Workshop is following the same strategy, and this is the point. So they went from just focus on some type of consumers to diverse and try to capture more consumers. And I think so far the numbers are showing that it's working. And I think the main objective of Games Workshop is to have a wider consumer base of what they used to have in the past. So please, now is your time to leave your comments below. Let me know what do you think. Give a like if you have liked this chat. And as usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.